I was 15 years old when I first met Jesus.
I was 20 years old when I met Jesus.
Hey, my name is David, and I'm a pastor at Foothills Bible Church, and this is my story before I met Jesus.
Hey, my name is Raven. My husband's one of the pastors here at Foothills, and this is what my life looked like before Jesus. I grew up in the Bible Belt where going to church was the thing that you did. Every Sunday morning, every Wednesday night, every time the doors were open, you were there.
I grew up in a non-Christian home. My parents were divorced when I was 7 years old. Life was hard for most of my growing up. I grew up having to figure life out on my own. I didn't have a lot of great role models or people to look up to.
So in high school, I would go on Sunday and learn about Jesus, but throughout the week, I would do everything that the world had to offer me, whether that was alcohol, partying, drugs, boys. And so that's how I lived my life, and I was totally fine with it. Until one night in college, I had been out all night and I was laying in my bed and I just felt this void, that there just felt like there had to be something more.
In spite of all that, I grew up a pretty normal kid. I rode skateboards and loved sports. And by the time I got into high school, I had a group of friends and found a lot of my sense of belonging at school and with my friends. And I picked up tennis. And I played tennis all the way through high school and loved it. It was my absolute escape in life. It's the place that I felt most accomplished and affirmed. When I was a sophomore, I was away at a tennis tournament. It was an all-day match, and I ended up getting home from that match pretty late. I walked in the door somewhere around midnight or 12:30 at night, and I walked into my stepdad holding a shotgun in his mouth, getting ready to take his own life. I freaked out. I ran and grabbed the gun away from him. He started crying. I don't think he expected anyone to come in. And I asked him what was going on, and he told me that my mom had left him for another man. And I was shocked and stunned. He was shocked and angry and really didn't want anything to do with me. Thankfully, in that moment, he didn't take his life, and I had no place to go. And the only person I could think of to go to was my tennis coach. And so at 1 or 2 in the morning, I walked to his house and knocked on his door. And he answers the door, opens the door. He sees me disheveled in tears. And without hesitation, he invites me into his house. And as I was telling him the story of what had just happened, I started getting angry. I looked at him with almost disdain in my heart, and I said, "What makes you so different?"
And I just kept wrestling and coming back to, maybe I should go back to church. And so I called my grandma and I asked if I could go with her. And that led me to joining a Christian sorority, which didn't make any sense for my life right then. But I showed up with my messy, broken, sinful life, and they accepted me and loved me, and they discipled me and showed me what it truly meant to live for Jesus. And I finally understood what all those stories I had always learned about really meant and what it was to have a relationship with him. And that's what I did.
And in that moment, he looked at me and he had this big old smile on his face, and he simply said, "Let me tell you why." And it's then that he told me about this person, Jesus, and who Jesus was, and how I could have a relationship with Jesus and what Jesus wanted for my life. And in that moment, it was the first time I felt a sense of unconditional love. First time I felt a sense of hope and a sense of a future. And so we got on our knees and we prayed, and that day I started following Jesus. After that day, there was a new sense of life that I experienced, and things weren't easy, but I had this new faith. It made a awful situation and circumstance bearable. That's how I met Jesus.
And that's how I met Jesus.